Hi, my name is Laura Yacoub, and I have the honor of introducing Sadhika Ganguli. Sadhi and I met last year in AP World History when we bonded over our love for discussing and speaking up about social issues and finding the similarities in our cultures. Since that conversation, we always sat next to each other, and if you were in that class, you knew that all we did was laugh our way through the work, and especially the DBQs. Even on my worst days, Sadhi has always brought a smile to my face. Although she is absolutely hilarious, she is more than just comedic relief. She is an exceptionally talented poet, an editor of Bellet, the founder of the Asian Student Alliance, and a passionate young woman that has plans to change the world. She is strong and beautifully spirited in all that she does. I know that what she has to say today is worth your undivided attention. Enough for me. Give it up for Sadhika Nimagata Ganguli.
Nobody understands me like Vincent van Gogh. But before I get into that, I have a question for you. If no one could know what you wanted to achieve or attain, would you still want it? At the beginning of spring quarantine, I read Irving Stone's Lust for Life, a biographical novel about Vincent van Gogh. Vincent immediately won me over because he never changed his artistic style or personality, despite the critics. Born into a generational line of art dealers, he was the painter. Vincent was a devout minister in a mining town before risking the safety of his position and salary to become an artist. Stone says it so beautifully, the artist takes his gamble. You may be asking, Sadhi, you're a poet, you can barely draw a circle, and you haven't even had one conversation with Van Gogh. And you'd be right. My circles are lucky if they're ovals. I can only paint with my words, and I have never once uttered a word to Vincent. But here is what I know to be true. I am a poet, the progeny of physicians. I am a woman of color in a predominantly white society. I have gone through versions of Sadhika that people wanted me to be, that I thought I wanted to be. I've treated myself the way an editor decimates her 15th manuscript of the day. I've ignored my brown skin and imagined myself submerged in the shade of Crayola peach. In second grade, our clay project was to make biographical angels. As an 8-year-old, my deepest desire was to find a mirror in another girl. I wanted to look at her and know that she could tell me about why Hindu gods like Ganesha have an elephant's head, or why Krishna has the universe instead of a uvula inside of his mouth. I wanted my deep brown eyes to see another 8-year-old with caramel-colored skin. But we only know what we can see. My angel was blonde-haired, fair in flesh, with cerulean eyes. When I took life science in 7th grade, I was deeply convinced that this was the inception of my monumental medical career. After my disastrous first date with an earthworm's anatomy, it felt like I was disowning my family. Did they come all the way from India only for me to completely annihilate the posterior of an earthworm? I was devastated. These are just 2 moments of my growing up. 2 versions of Little Sadhi. For years, I've tried to become a better Sadhika, leaving past versions of myself feeling unaccepted and unworthy. While I was reading Lust for Life, all of these little Sadhis came to my mind, and I began to see them without their flaws, but just as pieces of a little girl who was finding her way. Now back to the question I asked. If no one could know what you wanted to achieve or attain, would you still want it? Would you still want that leadership position if you couldn't put it on your transcript? Would Vincent stop painting his portraits even though the world deemed his work as childish? Would you want the scale to read 110 pounds if no one could see it in your figure, if you couldn't see it in your figure? Would little Sadi still want to be a Crayola peach physician stuffed into a white coat? No. The genuine art in life is the desire to create, to exist, even if no one could tell you it was meaningful. Art is the currency of the soul. Now, this wouldn't be my senior speech if I didn't read one of my poems. Here is All Encompassing. White people and church steeples have consumed and crowded my life. Since my inception, I have envied their complexion, their perception of life. So easy it seemed to me, effortless and without need for correction. Brown people and cursed reflections had been suppressed and rejected. I was to be fair and lovely, a smart girl who studied. I wouldn't touch the books or stare at the mirror without guilt and terror. Who was this brown clown aimlessly dissociating in a big, small southern town? I wore a gown of frowns, a name mispronounced, my identity, religion, and race beaten and broken down. A poet, a letdown, not a scientist or lawyer, dismissed from both norms. Here I write, my own form. I have broken the brown mold and have thrown out the white one. I have become who I am because I never succumbed to the suffocating whiteness or to the unforgiving brownness. My color is a beautiful and rich caramel toffee. My body is my temple. Now it accepts me inside, past places I was denied. I am whole and purified. I stand before myself, a justified soul with no remorse. Hayagriva, my own white horse. I walk with no shame, but with suffering scars. I am brown, Hindu, and a Southerner too. Thank you.